Welcome to Unlocking Truth, another podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips.
Hello everybody and welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. My name is Dr. Leslie Phillips and I will be your host for the next hour. And I'm joined by Corey.
Hello. It's me.
Yeah. And you're listening to us on CIVL on 101.7 FM, broadcasting live across the Fraser Valley. And I'll just remind you that Unlocking Your Truth is a call show. And we focus on metaphysics and spirituality. It's a talk show, it's a call-in show, and so we love you, the listeners, to call in with your questions and to join in with the topic of the day. And I'll just read out the number. It's 604-504-7441, extension 4142. Once again, it's 604-504-7441, extension 4142.
And we're on at 7 to 8 o'clock on every Tuesday on the Pacific Central Standard Time.
That's right. So if you're catching us on a podcast and you feel inclined to phone in live, that's the time slot to do it.
Or if you're listening live on the radio station. CIVL.ca.
Exactly. So today's topic is inspired by a question that we were asked. And the question is, why do I keep spinning my wheels?
It's a good question.
It's a very good question. And I guess that this person was, that feeling where you're stuck going round and round and round and round and nothing's changing. You're not moving forward. You feel stuck. Something's blocking you. What is the reason for that? From a spiritual perspective.
That could happen in life too. I mean, it's not just, everything comes from the spiritual aspect. I mean, work, relationship, you want to start a business, your house plants aren't going well. I mean, people feel like that about everything.
Well, exactly. So it's like I'm stuck in my life, and what we're going to do is give you a spiritual perspective in terms of what the answer might be. And I really have one answer to this, one main answer. And it's a sort of a psychobabble term that I use, but I will explain what I mean by it. The answer is perfect pictures. So what on earth are perfect pictures? Well, of course, you all know what perfect means, don't you? Perfect means that something that is whole, godlike, flawless, and so on. And what I mean by perfect pictures are our brain tends to store our experiences as images. And to an intuitive like me, that's how I do, how I read people's energy, is I see it as images. So that's the picture. So perfect pictures are kind of like concepts that you're holding about yourself, about other people in your life, and about your reality, where you've put tinted spectacles on and you're viewing them through an ideal. You're viewing them through an expectation of what they should be, a perfect idea of what you expect this situation should look like, of how you expect this person should behave, of what you expect about yourself and your successes in life and how you should perform and so on. That's what my definition of a perfect picture would be. And then, well, where do they come from? Why do we have these filters that we see life through? And of course, where they come from is they're really founded in the very beginnings of your life, in your roots, in terms of your family and your parents. All of the main people that have had an influence on you and the early situations that you went through in life. So it could be your parents or other caregivers grandparents, teachers, other authority figures, peer groups, groups in your culture, if you belong to a church or an other kind of belief system. All of these people who've been living life already for a number of years have built up their own filter, their own way of seeing the world, and their own expectations about it. And they can be expectations of high standards. They can also be expectations of the opposite of that. So I've come to expect nothing. I've come to expect my life is going to be awful and I'm not going to have any money or whatever it is. So perfect pictures are a kind of reality filter, and they are high or low expectations of yourself, your life creations, the people around you, and they keep you stuck. They keep you stuck.
So that would be the explanation, I guess, for someone going into a marriage, say a woman marrying a man, and reminds them of her daddy, so that like they say, daddies are perfect in little girls' eyes. So finds out that she doesn't like that, and then finds out a man marries a woman, it's like his mother, and then finds out he doesn't like it, ends up marrying another one just like his mother.
Well, exactly. And, perfect pictures affect all aspects of life, but especially relationships, because we do tend to look at our partners through a kind of a shopping list of ideals of, if we don't have a partner, of what we want them to be like when we meet them. And if we do have a partner, we have this whole list of expectations of how they should conduct themselves, how they should behave, how they should interact with you, speak to you, how they should feel. And what all of that does is it stops you seeing them exactly as they are, seeing the truth of who they are, and it also stops you accepting them. You're having a relationship with the real person that they are when you have perfect pictures. You're having a relationship with a sort of projected melange of your own expectations.
Start off with perfect pictures and end up with a diamond in the rough, and then you end up with a piece of coal.
That's right. It's kind of the opposite way around. So you brought up a good point. So they affect you in all aspects of your life, whether it's your relationships, and not just with your partner, with anyone in your life. So they can affect your relationships at work, and just even your creativity.
I think government as well. I mean, there's a prime example of, we all have perfect pictures. Well, we don't have them anymore, but we used to have perfect pictures of people in power that were there to help us and our country be the best there is, and now that's fallen by the wayside. Now people have negative images,
expectations of it. Exactly.
Especially somebody with the initial DT.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so these expectations, they keep you stuck, because just think about the situation when you're stuck. We started out with the question, why do I keep spinning my wheels? Why am I stuck? Why am I blocked? What is blocking me? If you have a ton of perfect pictures around yourself and what you're doing and what you want to create, it can really keep you stuck, because how will I ever achieve that? These high expectations I have of myself, it just seems impossible. And the fear of failure is immense when the expectations are high as well. And so they really are what can keep you stuck. Fear of failure, I can't do it. And the other thing that they'll do is they'll propel you into competition, because you'll have this perfect ideal. You'll project the perfect ideal onto somebody else or something else, and then compare yourself against it. And of course, underlying these perfect pictures is usually a bunch of pain of invalidation, not feeling good enough. So, and ultimately the pain of non-acceptance, because, like, if you go back to you as a child and people having expectations of you, then you're not being seen and accepted for who you are in the gaze of those expectations. And that's very painful. I believe it's a sort of a fundamental desire of all humans that we want to be seen, appreciated, and accepted for who we are. We really want to be seen for who we are and validated for who we are and accepted for who we are. And perfect pictures don't allow that. There is no room for love, acceptance, and forgiveness in a big wall of perfect pictures. And so here's the thing, folks. Nothing in our world is perfect. Nothing is perfect in our world. Because, the only thing that is perfect is source energy or God, whatever your word for that is. Because only God or source energy is whole. Source energy is the totality of everything. And therefore, we can say that that's perfect. But every single one of us is a projection, is a portion of that source energy. And therefore, we are not whole and we are not perfect. And as well as that, we are sitting in earth plane reality, the world of contrast, the world of opposites, the world of duality. And so we need, if everything was perfect, we wouldn't have the contrast. We wouldn't have the duality. We wouldn't have the choices that we have, and we wouldn't have free will.
So what if perfect pictures is the thing that holds us back so much? What do we shoot for? What do we want our lives to
alignment with source and authentic expression of ourselves, our true innermost selves. I recognize it by a feeling of alignment within myself, and I recognize it by a perception I have of myself lining up with my source. It could be different for other people, but you can feel it when you feel in. Here's a way of saying it: if you feel in the zone, if you feel aligned, excited, you're moving forward, then that's the alignment. But if you're feeling off, if you're feeling stuck, then you're out of alignment. Right? So if you're spinning your wheels, you're out of alignment. But if you're in the zone and everything's falling into place and you're moving, then you're in alignment.
So if you were to tell somebody who's brand new in opening up their spirituality, brand new in moving away from where they were to where they want to more or less being in touch with the source, their source, the universe, whatever term they want to call it. What's the best piece of advice you'd give that person? I mean, the brand new, they don't necessarily recognize the feeling. They could be experiencing, but don't recognize what it is.
The best advice is to start meditating, to be honest.
How did I know
And
that?
through meditation is how you get to know yourself, is how you get to be familiar with your energy, and how you get to be familiar with what's not your energy, and is the way that helps you to let go of the energies that you're carrying in your energy field that are not in alignment with your highest and greatest good. And through meditation, you can actually start to become aware of these perfect pictures, and you can start to consciously dismantle them, like taking down that brick wall that you've been experiencing reality through. If you're operating from perfect pictures, one way that you can know it is that if you're judging anything or anyone, that's a form of a perfect picture. Because if I accept you completely as you are, then there's going to be no judgment involved in that. But if I'm judging you, then I'm holding you against some expectation that you're not meeting in my eyes. And so if you notice that you're judging yourself, judging other people, judging circumstances, that's a sign that you are operating off of your perfect pictures. If you invalidate yourself, here's the thing, one of the things that perfect pictures can do is they can they can throw you into a depression, cause you to feel unworthy and worthless. And so that's another sign that you're on the flip side of it, on the painful side of it. So any kind of non-acceptance of what is a form of perfect picture.
So I know one of your favorite things is personal responsibility. Like, I know a lot of people spin their wheels waiting for a miracle or someone or something perfect to happen before, like, well, as soon as I'm retired and I'm earning this amount of money, or I'm looking for this and that and this, I will be happy at that point in time. I will feel fulfilled. So I know those are perfect pictures, but also it has a lot to do with being responsible for your own growth.
Yeah, exactly. So that situation you described, where we're waiting for something to happen in order to feel better, and when this happens, something projected in the future that might happen in the future. Sorry, I've lost what was the question?
Responsibility. Accepting the fact of personal responsibility for your own growth, and for your own, like, you could say, well, my parents were like this, so that's why I'm like this, or blah 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 blah. All these excuses that you have, or I'm waiting for something to happen before I go through. No, I would try to get closer to source, but I haven't found the right church yet.
So what's the question in a nutshell?
Is responsibility. How does personal responsibility affect spinning your wheels?
Okay. So in a way, the first step on a spiritual path is spirit know thyself. And you know yourself through meditation. And once you know yourself, the next step is take responsibility for your creations, because everything in your reality is your creation. And the good news is that you are the master of your own universe. Because you created it, you can uncreate it, and you can create something that you prefer more than the things that you don't like. But if you never take that first step and you never take that second step, you'll stay stuck.
Yeah, definitely. But don't you think that's one of the hardest lessons people have to learn? That it's that reflection in the mirror is the one that you're waiting for to do these things. I mean, it's not going to be a different reflection in that mirror. That mirror is going to show you, and you're the one that is responsible for everything around you and everything that you're doing.
It's a hard lesson, and maybe, but just think, if you choose to learn that lesson, what you're doing is you're stepping into your own power. You're stepping into unbelievable power to create your reality, to create the life that you want for yourself. And there's that saying that says it's actually not our darkness that frightens us the most. It's our power. It's our brightness. And so, yes, some people get caught for lifetimes or years and years in that victim mentality, in that they're doing it to me, he's doing it to me, I'm stuck here because of whatever outside circumstances. But guess what? Those outside circumstances are a projection of your inner energetic state. And the only way that you can change them is to change your inner energetic state. Everything revolves around you. Everything revolves around you. You are the center of your own private personal universe.
That's hard for people to accept sometimes, especially when they're in a negative situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when they're being, when there's prejudice or when people are against them in any way, shape, or form, it's very difficult sometimes for them to accept that. But it's all part of their plan. It's all part of their voyage.
Exactly, it's part of their voyage. But of course, as long as you stay in that spiral of beliefs that say I'm a victim, that these folks out there are doing it to me, and you focus on maintaining thoughts like that, and you think it over and over and over again, and you hold that in your vibrational field, it will become true for you. That illusion will seem true for you, because you will attract more of that. And so at some point in your path, in your journey, you need to, and you will, break out of that cycle. And maybe for some it will be this lifetime, and maybe for others it won't, but that's the path we're on, that's the journey we're on back to source, and ultimately we all take these steps. Some kicking and screaming, some shouting for joy. Hey, I am God. This is fantastic. Let's get to it.
So, what I'm gathering, the number one thing to learn is how to blow perfect pictures.
Right. And
Of your mind.
yeah, and how we do that is through meditation. And of course, meditation is like my answer for everything. And by the way, do you know what? I have a course starting next week, actually. And I didn't plan to say this, but we do teach exactly this as part of the curriculum of that course. And so check out Unlock Your Intuition. It's on drlesliephillips.com, or you can email me at info@drlesliephillips.com if you're interested of how can I unspin my wheels? How can I dig myself out of this negative spiral? How can I take that first step and then that second step? If you join me on this course, I will hold your hand as you take those steps, actually. And so, info@drlesliephillips.com if you want to take me up on that offer. And what we're going to do now is we'll go to a break. And by the way, folks, we would love to have you phone in today on 604-504-7441, extension 4142, not least because we left the list of email questions at home, so we're scrambling to get them off the cell phone. So this is a good week to call in, 604-504-7441, extension 4142. But the ladies who I promised to get to your question, we've managed to find it, so we will be doing that. So stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages. Hello everyone, and welcome back. You're listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie, and I'm also joined in the studio by Corey. And if you're just tuning in, this is a call-in show. It's a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality, and the topic that we've been talking about today is, why do I keep spinning my wheels? Why am I stuck? Why can't I move forward? And the answer to that was perfect pictures, which is it's sort of like a filter it's like a reality filter that you're seeing the world through. So we were talking about what that is and how to dismantle it. And now we are at the time in the show where we take your calls on 604-504-7441, extension 4142. Once again, that's 604-504-7441, extension 4142. And we've got a couple of anonymous email questions. We'll make up the names for these ladies. And what's the first one, Corey?
The first one is from Ella. And Ella writes, I've envisioned the Kundalini before. I found a video about it online today and realized that that may be happening to me. How can I allow that Kundalini energy to flow through my chakras better as there's something blocking the energy flow?
Okay.
Sorry, I had problems reading
that. I wrote that down because I left the notes at home, folks. Okay, so this lady, we'll call her Ella, believes she's been having some Kundalini experiences, and she's been educating herself online about what that means. But she feels that there is a block in the flow, and she wants to know how she can use it to heal her chakras. So I'm going to give some general information about Kundalini, but I'm also just going to take a look specifically at you, Ella, as well. So just give me a moment while I go into trance and do a quick check-in, and then we'll answer the question. Right, I took a quick check-in. I'm seeing where some of the blocks are. So let's just talk about Kundalini in general. What is Kundalini? Kundalini it's an energy. It's a type of energy that runs up the spinal column. So it emanates from the base of the spine. When it's uncoiled or asleep, it's like a little serpent. Kundalini means serpent, and it's coiled up at the base of the spine. But when you undergo a spiritual awakening, then that energy uncoils and flows upwards through the spine and out through the crown chakra. And it's a spiritualizing force. It's a transformational energy. And when your Kundalini turns on, it accelerates your spiritual growth. It can enhance your intuitive abilities as an end result, and while you are running that Kundalini energy. But it will also, whatever you've stored in your body that is in your way of being a fully awakened individual, it will be stirred up to be looked at and cleared out. And so the Kundalini ultimately raises your vibration so that you can become a fully awakened, aware, enlightened individual. Now, you know, if you read up on Kundalini, you'll read some scare stories about it, because if it's turned on inappropriately when somebody isn't ready, or it's too much too soon, it can throw you into some intense growth cycles. And I'll use just to illustrate it, I'll use an example from my own life. I learned to consciously run my Kundalini, I don't know how many years ago, over 15 years ago, maybe about 17 years ago. And the person who taught me, the class was great. It was like, wow, this is such a powerful energy. I love it. I want to run this all the time. And she said, you know, folks, you've got to run it gently at a rate your body can handle, and don't run it for less than half an hour a day or more than an hour a day when you first get started. So she taught us how to consciously turn it off. And I said, oh, well, yes, that's all great, but it doesn't apply to me. I'm just going to run it all the time. So I ran it for 24 hours solid. And the next 24 hours I literally spent curled up, sobbing in a ball on the floor, because I had lit up so much stuff in my energy field by running it for so long. So it's an amazing gift, and it's very powerful. And, 17 years later, I can run my Kundalini all the time, but I certainly couldn't at the beginning. And so that's why teachers will tell you to be, it's important to know what you're doing, and to know how to turn it off and on, and how to modulate how much Kundalini energy that you are running. And really, Ella's question is about that. Is like, how can I consciously run my Kundalini energy so that I can use it to heal myself? And when you can consciously run it, you can use it to heal anything. So if you've got anything at all that you notice is going on within you, and you want to change it, then you can consciously, intentionally focus the Kundalini to clear that block. And it could be a physical thing. It could be an energetic thing, like a blocked chakra. It could be a belief, or an emotional energy that you want to move. Really, anything that you want. And so she's asking, well, how can I get it to run through my chakras? Well, that's a very big question, and to teach you that, I will want to have you in a Kundalini class as opposed to tell you how to do it in 30 seconds on the radio. But what I will do is I'll take a look at your specific experiences, Ella, and one of the things, let me look at what's going on with you. And by the way, I should probably mention, what can a Kundalini experience feel like, apart from the information I've already given you. You can feel like you're having hot flashes, because it's such a transformational energy. It can feel very hot because changes are happening when it's running. And sometimes what will happen when you have a block in the path of the Kundalini energy is that you'll start getting rashes. So often unexplained rashes, the doctors will try and tell you that you've got, psoriasis or something. It can just be some trapped Kundalini energy, actually. Same thing with some medical conditions like epilepsy. It can be a block in the Kundalini channel that can cause some people to have epileptic seizures. So what does it feel like? It can feel like a hot flash. It can feel like tingles. It can feel like an itchy rash. It can feel like emotional overwhelm if it's sort of switching on unfettered and uncontrolled. So it can feel like a lot of things. Anyway, I'm going to look at this lady and her specific, and I would just validate that, you're new at this game of running your Kundalini. It looks like you've had some spontaneous Kundalini experiences, but I also would validate that, of course, you've got a lot of stuff stored in your spine. That's for sure. And so that Kundalini has to make it burn its way through that stuff that's stored in the spine to some degree. And will continue to do so. And so I'm just looking all the way up the spine. There's stuff. And one of the main areas that lit up when I looked at you was the head channels. So as well as your main 7 chakras, there's also some more minor chakras around the head. Like if you imagine Jesus with his crown of thorns. That's like symbolizing those head channels. So I was seeing that the Kundalini channels in the head, were causing you problems. So another thing that can happen when you turn your Kundalini on is you can start getting headaches. It can cause you to have headaches and because the build-up of the energy in the head, if the head channels aren't clear. It can stop you sleeping because all that energy coursing through you can just make you wide awake. If you're not grounded, it can do the opposite, can throw you out of your body. So there's a lot of things that can happen. So, in answer to the question, how can I get it to, run through my chakras? Well, a simple answer would be just intend that as you're running your Kundalini that that it will flow through your chakras, or if there's a particular chakra you want to flow it through, then intend it and it will be so. At the same time, I would just say this is an energy that I would recommend finding a teacher or a mentor to assist you with rather than learn it from the internet. And of course,
to be taught at home then,
obviously. Yeah, and this is another area that I can help with. So if you were so inclined to want to learn how to consciously run it, then I would suggest a foundation of meditation techniques so that you can run it safely, including grounding. So at the very least, check out my podcast on grounding and teach yourself how to ground so that you're running it from that grounded perspective. And if you're up for more and you really want to focus on this, then find a teacher. And if you're attracted to being taught by me, get in touch, info@drlesliephillips.com. It's something that I've helped a lot of people to do.
So just a curious question. I can hear people out there already thinking, oh, I don't have Kundalini energy. So does everybody have Kundalini energy, or is it like?
That's a good question. And
like you said, it's like a snake sitting coil at the base of your spine.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I would say everyone has the potential to run Kundalini energy. Not everybody will get to that point in this lifetime.
So you create it? Is that what you're saying? You create the Kundalini energy?
The Kundalini is you can direct it, but it's an energy that's part of your energy system, right?
So everybody has that.
Well, let me look at that question. Does every single human being have Kundalini? Well, everybody that's at the point that they're on consciously exploring things like this, I would say. And everybody's Kundalini is different, though. And I don't want to get into too much into the details of it, but there are specific. It's not just as simple as the coil. That there are other aspects to. There are ways of amplifying the Kundalini energy, and different people have different amounts of Kundalini power that they can run.
So basically, what you're saying is, as someone starts to awaken, they're on their path and starts to awaken that inner sense of knowledge of the universe, that starts to awaken as well.
Well, their inner knowledge of the universe would start to awaken. That's not the same as the Kundalini
No,
energy.
not the same as Kundalini, but like when you start on your path, and you start becoming more aware of what's happening within yourself and within within that creativeness within you, the spirit within you. So then it's sort of like then you get to a point where you could switch on to Kundalini.
That might be a way of looking at it. That it can be a natural progression on your path, but you can force it too. You could force it to. And the other thing I didn't mention is that the Earth itself has its own natural form of Kundalini energy, and you can actually learn to run the Earth's Kundalini energy through your body as well, through different channels in the spine. And the Earth's Kundalini energy is volcanoes, earthquakes, hot springs, all of that kind of thing. Whenever there's a big earthquake or a volcanic eruption, that really shakes it up for everyone in the vicinity, because that's a big dose of the Earth's Kundalini in that area, actually. Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to go to another break, and then we'll do the other question, and that we've promised to do.
Okay.
And so let's do that. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. And I believe we have a caller on the line. Hello, caller.
Hi, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can. Hi, Naomi.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Good.
Well, sort of.
What's your question?
My question is, on follow-up in a session that we just had about the trip that I took and the person that I met.
Right.
Where I've been having a lot of chest pain that's been coming up, and I wanted to clear it, but also to confirm if it's the pain that's coming up, is it related to that person I met overseas, or does it have to do with just pain that is coming up in general because my heart opened up when I met that person?
Okay, I'll take a look for you. Give me a moment while I tune in to you.
Okay.
So you said chest pain.
Tightness in my chest.
Yeah, I am seeing what you're talking about. Because what's lighting up is the sort of the rib cage and the diaphragm and that area. So I'm just going to do some healing work on it for you, and if something comes up that's relevant, I'll tell you.
Okay.
But it's really interesting, because I'm just tuning into the actual physical bones in that area. So it looks to me like you're doing some release work in the rib cage area. And it's got more to do with that past life experience that you were connecting with when you went on your foreign trip. And it just got right to the bones of you. And so I'm helping you clear what I'm seeing in that area of your body, and I'm feeling an enormous amount of energy pouring out, and I'm just working on the right side right now. And there's a lot there. There's a lot coming out, and I'm going to move and do the left side. And
When I tried to clear it myself, I actually saw a vision of me holding a baby, and this person walked out on me after I delivered. And then the pain started coming in, and I'm thinking that, I had a good experience, good past life with this person. As it turns out, it wasn't. So I obviously made the right decision when I decided not to bring the communication back with me.
And when I say past life, I was actually referring to the past life of that was buried in the Recoleta. But anyway, and that person died of after having an operation to have a reproductive system removed. So
yes.
So that's
okay.
The childbirth thing is connected.
Okay, so it doesn't have to do with the other person. Okay, thank God.
Well, there's a lot coming out, though. A lot stored in those bones in that area. Are you feeling a bit better? Because a lot's been released.
Yes, I can breathe now.
Okay, good. Okay.
I thought I might have to go to the emergency room.
No. And you know what? You know how to run your Kundalini. We were just talking about Kundalini. You can run your Kundalini. Have you been using it to help you move through stuff?
I haven't, because I'm afraid I'll bring up more than I can handle.
So the trick is just to focus it on clearing what's coming up.
Okay.
So focus it with your intention.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're feeling better, we'll let you go. We've got one more question that we wanted to get to before the end of the show. Oh no, we don't have time. Okay, well, is there anything else we can help you with?
I'll talk to you later in the week. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right then, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so I'm going to just very, very quickly look at another lady's question who, and if we don't cover it enough this week, it's a really good question, so we might do a bit more about it next week. But basically what she says is she's certified as a Reiki practitioner, and she's been doing Reiki for 6 years. And she started seeing blue flashes, sparkles, and coloured lights, vivid auras, high-pitched ringing, experiencing chills, purple moving energy light before bed, seeing colours when her eyes are closed, and the list goes on. And she's asking if what she's seeing is the beginning of clairvoyance, and why hasn't she developed it further. And we might bring this up again next week, because there's a whole bunch of stuff and we don't have time to cover it all. But I'm going to just take a quick look, because I promised you that I would get to this on tonight's show. And, just going back to what we were just talking about, we were talking about Kundalini energy. That's another sign of having a Kundalini awakening, can be that you start to see flashing lights and that kind of stuff. So I'll just mention that. The main question is that she's asking is, let's answer the piece of the question that's to do with you opening your clairvoyance and why you haven't developed it further. And she says, I'm constantly listening to podcasts and reading books, and nothing has increased it. She must have a block. Last week, we talked about the 7 steps to awakening your intuition. And if you tuned into that, step number 4 was going into effort. And that's a sort of a classic. What you're saying here is I'm listening to all these podcasts, I'm reading all these books, I'm trying really hard, I'm doing all this stuff, and nothing's working. And it's because you're approaching it through effort, through a body perspective, as opposed to opening to the natural flow of your spiritual information. And there's a big difference. We're taught so much to operate from our intellect, and most people don't know how to do it differently. And I'm seeing that that's the key to unlocking your intuition. And I would also say to you that what can really, really help with a question like that is to have some mentoring, because rather than tell you and answer in a podcast, what's much more powerful is to have you experience it for yourself. And I'll just say that I'm starting my class next week, Unlock Your Intuition, which addresses all of the main blocks that people have to opening their intuition, including the one that you're talking about of going into effort, because we teach you how to operate consciously as spirit versus operating from your intellect, versus operating from your emotions, versus operating from your ego, versus operating from aspects of your physical body. We actually teach you the difference. This is you, the spiritual consciousness. This is you operating from your ego or your body. You get to practice it. You get to go, oh, that's what it is. And once you know it, and you know it for the rest of your life. And you can then very consciously access your clairvoyance whenever you wish. And so I would encourage you to check out on drlesliephillips.com my Unlock Your Intuition course, because it would really accelerate your growth and over a period of about 8 weeks really focus you on taking charge of all of this, random things that are happening, seeing flashing light sparkles, hearing voices and seeing auras. Because here's the thing, we can allow it to unfold haphazardly, but what can happen is we can end up going down little false avenues and picking up information from here, there and everywhere. So, what I really recommend for people at your stage is find a teacher that you like and that you trust, and learn from the teacher. And I would just validate that there's a lot going on with you. It looks like your spiritual abilities are awakening, and there are some blocks, and there's more than one block, and there's more than one spiritual ability that's awakening. And it does also look like you're having some Kundalini experiences as well. So I'm going to leave it there. But, if you want more information, you are welcome to write back to us. Also, for people who are interested in the course, you can book a free 15 minutes with me on my website, on my booking calendar, to ask your questions about the course to see if it will help you, if it's a fit for you. So go to drlesliephillips.com and go to my bookings calendar and book yourself a free consult to talk about taking my intuition development course. And in your case, I think it would just help orient you, help you understand what the experiences that you're having. Okay, I do have to go.
Yes, you do.
It's next Tuesday from 7 to 8 on 101.7 FM, CIVL.ca.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesliephillips.com. That's drlesliephillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. Come back again.